Welcome to the ChatGPT podcast. I'm your host, Jaden Schaefer. Each episode, we dive into the latest developments in the exciting field of artificial intelligence, exploring its applications and potential impacts on our daily lives. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? I record and publish podcasts on a platform called Spotify for Podcasters, and I absolutely love it. Essentially, you can upload from your phone or computer, and it distributes to every platform that plays podcasts. They support video podcasts, and you can make money on the platform with ads or even podcast subscriptions, something that has made my life so much easier as a podcaster. So if you're interested, I highly recommend you give it a try. You can download the Spotify for Podcast app, or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your podcast today. If you follow the show, you know that I give a weekly update on what I am currently building in AI. A couple weeks ago, I announced the opening of the waitlist for my AI tool building platform, AI Box. I've been blown away by the interest I've seen in the platform. This weekend, I went through and looked at the waitlist, and I saw people from Microsoft, Amazon, Salesforce, Cisco, Ally Bank, PwC, TSMC, Ford, Deloitte, and McKinsey. So if you want to join these incredible companies and get on the waitlist, go to AIbox.ai. We'll be rolling out access to the platform in sequential order of who signed up first. Next week, Monday the 26th, I'll be in San Francisco meeting with some people. If you're a venture fund in the Bay Area and would like to meet up in person to talk about AI Box, send me an email at jaden@aibox.ai. I would love to tell you more about what we're building in person. Today on the podcast, we're going to be covering two major advancements into image generation AI. The first one is coming out of MidJourney and the second one out of Stability AI. So without further ado, we are going to dive into it and explain exactly what these new upgrades and features are and what the implications we see for the landscape of AI in general is, because I do believe that there are some pretty profound differences between these two companies and the features that they've come out with. First off, MidJourney, which is by no small amount the leader in this text-to-image generation field of AI. MidJourney right now is exclusively accessed through a server on Discord, where essentially you have to create a Discord account, you sign up, and you can get it to generate different things. The new feature that they've announced in this 5.2 version is essentially one of the biggest features is the introduction of what they're calling zoom out. So essentially this is also known as outpainting on other AI image generators like Photoshop, but the feature essentially allows AI to expand on a previously created image and provide additional context to it. So you might know that if you've generated a MidJourney image up until now, they're usually a square. And sometimes, that's useful, but other times maybe you want it to be in portrait mode or landscape mode, and you don't really get anything other than that square. So now with the new zoom out feature, you're going to be able to actually zoom out. They have two zoom out options, 1.5 and 2, where you're actually able to zoom out even further from the image, and essentially it will design more image that seamlessly just expands the image. So if it's a close-up of a person's face, when it zooms out, it's going to show more of their body and maybe more of the background behind them. And additionally, they're going to have a make square function. So if you had, a landscape video or image that you wanted to turn into a square, you could transform those non-square images into square ones using outpainting. So essentially, outpainting is it's adding to the image. It's not just cropping it smaller to a square. It's adding a little bit on the top and bottom of for example, a landscape mode image. So along with these features, MidJourney 5.2 also has something called aesthetic system, which is specifically designed to produce sharper and more visually attractive images. And they have improvements in text comprehension, which means essentially that that the AI image engine can now generate visuals that align allegedly a lot more closely to the actual given text that you're giving it. So essentially it's just better at interpreting your prompts and turning those into images. 5.2 also introduces something that I think is kind of cool. It's called shorten, and it's a new command which essentially is going to allow you to identify words in one of your prompts that has little to no effect on the actual image. Sometimes, I create these prompts and I put 20 different words in there trying to come up with a really creative image. And I'm like, oh, not quite. And I'm sitting there tweaking the prompt. I don't really know which of the words within that prompt are having the biggest effect. So this is going to be nice. You can throw your whole prompt in there, shorten it. It's going to pull out the irrelevant words. And then what you're actually tweaking is actually going to make a difference and an impact on what the image that's being generated is. And it's not just, this is just another variation of it generating essentially the same prompt. So it's going to help you and prompt engineers to make better images and to know what's actually being used. So this update 5.3 version, it's now available as a test version, and it's also set as the default. So users that want to disable it or revert to a previous version, they can use the settings command in Discord to do that. But all in all, a really awesome improvement into MidJourney, which is definitely seen as one of the leaders in this AI image generating space. So it's exciting to see that. The second piece of news I wanted to cover on the podcast today is that Stability AI just yesterday launched what they're calling SDXL 0.9. So the difference between Stability AI and MidJourney, because they're both text-to-image generating platforms, is pretty profound. And I think if you don't know the difference, I'll just go over it quickly. But essentially, MidJourney is a for-profit company, essentially, where you go on their Discord server. You can pay to buy credits. Usually that's $8 a month, and you can generate these images on the Discord server if you have purchased their credits or their package. Stability AI, on the other hand, is generally speaking an open source platform, which has the Stability AI model, or right now it's the SDXL 0.9. And essentially, you can run this on your own computer or your own, modern consumer GPU. So what's really exciting with this new text-to-image suite of models is that this is following the release of Stability Diffusion XL beta, which came out in April. So this new version produces massively, I would say, improved image and composition details over its previous version. So they actually have a bunch of different images where essentially they've given it the same prompt and they're showing the difference of the images. And I think this is really impressive because this is a tool that anyone can grab the code for. They publish the code on GitHub. You can grab the code for this. You can run this model on your own computer, aka you can run it on your own servers and integrate it into your own products without having to get an API, which is, if you wanted to run MidJourney, you'd need to build your own API and to integrate it into any of your products. Where this, on the other hand, you can grab the model, run it yourself on your own servers, and have, essentially 100% of the profit that it can generate for your business aside from, whatever the costs of running it are. So this is pretty significantly different than MidJourney. That being said, a lot of people say MidJourney is better. They're running it on their own state-of-the-art hardware. They're training it, and so they have a lot of resources. But, as far as a free open source tool goes, Stability is quite impressive, and I really do think that they've made a lot of really big improvements. Essentially, this new SDXL 0.9 that they're releasing allows you to generate hyper-realistic creations for films, television, music, and instructional videos, as well as offering a lot of advancements for design and industrial use. Essentially, I would say this is kind of putting it at the very forefront of, these AI imaging tools. So they, like I was mentioning before, they have this thing where they're essentially showing the prompt they use, and they're showing two different images, on one that was generated on the old version of their platform and one that is on this new update. So this one they have, it says, aesthetic aliens walking among us in Las Vegas, scratchy found film photograph. And the first version is like super unrealistic. It's like black and yellow kind of image, like two-toned image. Just doesn't look very realistic. It's kind of funny. The second one on this new version is literally an alien, looks like a hyper-realistic photo with a blurred out background in downtown Las Vegas with people all around him. And so I think it really has made some big progress. They did one with a wolf. The first one, there is the wolf, and one of its eyes is kind of messed up. The second one, it's close up on its face, and it looks much more realistic. Although I will say, like, maybe 5 to 10% less realistic than something I would see out of MidJourney, to be perfectly honest on that wolf image. They did another one, which, as you know, a lot of these AI models have real problems with fingers and hands. You'll see that with OpenAI's DALL-E 2 model, which I don't know why OpenAI has not improved that. They're obviously killing it with ChatGPT, but these other image generators are honestly just killing them. So this new Stability AI launch, they showed a version before, and it looks like there's an extra finger on the hand. It's like a hand holding a cup of coffee. And in this new version, the hand looks absolutely perfect. All the fingers look normal. Everything's perfect about it. So that's very exciting. The SDXL series also offers a really big range of functions that extend beyond just basic text prompting. So those include image-to-image prompting, right? So you can input an image and get variations of that image out, which is a pretty good improvement. in-painting, right? So that is reconstructing missing parts of the image, and out-painting, which is constructing a seamless extension of an existing image. So this is actually the same two features that MidJourney has just dropped. It's interesting. They both have done it like side by side. So essentially they can make the image square, or they can make it, they can add stuff to the edges of it to zoom out. They said, what's under the hood? So one of the key drivers of this advancement in composition for this SDXL 0.9 is essentially the significant increase in parameter count. So the sum of all the weights and biases in the neural network that the model is trained on. That's what the parameter is. And so this has significantly more parameters than the beta version. And this is really interesting how this works. So I wanted to bring this up, but essentially this new version of Stability, it has one of the largest parameter counts of any open source image model. So not MidJourney, but any open source one. So it has 3.5 billion parameters, of 3.5 billion parameter base model. And this is what's interesting, a 6.6 billion parameter model ensemble pipeline. So essentially the final output, when you get an image back from this model, it's created by running two different models, and then it aggregates the results of those models, right? So the second stage model, which is the 6.6 billion parameter one, it is used to add finer details to the generated output of the first stage. So essentially what's happening is they're probably using their old model, essentially, or theoretically, maybe they trained one slightly better, but they're using an older model that can get them like kind of a basic idea for an image, and then they run it through another model that's almost twice the size that just like adds fine-tuned details, right? So like they might be able to, like with the example of the alien, theoretically they could get it to generate the old version of the alien, then they put it in the new one and adds all of these details to the background and makes the alien look more realistic and adds these blurs and all these different effects. So I think this is really smart. I don't actually know how MidJourney's AI image generation process runs. I think they're a little bit more closed lip with that because it's not open source. But this is a really intelligent way about going about this problem, in my opinion, where you kind of generate like a lower resolution image, and then you go and get another model to essentially say take this lower resolution image and, make it a lot more detailed, make it a lot more high quality. So I think this is really smart. And this probably saves them, like theoretically there could be a model that could do it just right in one go, but this probably saves them a ton of computational time, right? It's like, give me the rough draft and now polish it versus like, give me something polished. And I think it's really important when you're looking at these models, right? Like they said, someone could run this on a consumer level GPU device. And so when you're looking at building these kind of open source models that anyone could technically run, you really need to focus on what is the way to make this, use the least amount of resources possible. And I think they really were able to achieve that in quite a great way. And just to tell you who can run this, they said that SDXL 0.9 is able to run on a modern consumer GPU needing only Windows 10 or 11 or Linux operating system. So you need 16 gigabytes of RAM, a NVIDIA GeForce RTX 20 graphics card, that equivalent or higher, and you need a minimum of 8 gigabytes of VRAM. Linux users are able to use a compatible AMD card with 16 gigs of VRAM. So honestly, really, really impressive. This is going to be coming out for research purposes on next week. And then they're hoping to have a wider launch where people can use this for, corporate or, professional reasons at the end of July. So really incredible, great work from Stability and also great work from MidJourney on two major, improvements on this text to AI image generation space. It's going to be interesting to see how this continues to evolve into the future and how we continue to make these text to image models better and better, and eventually go to video. We just launched our AI Creators Discord community. If you're looking for a really kind of hands-on and innovative place to talk to other people making amazing things in AI, you need to join this community. Obviously, it's a lot more interactive than a podcast where we can actually share prompts and software and tools that we're using to create really interesting use cases. We'd love to have you join and become part of the community. If you don't use Discord, there's also always the Facebook group. I'll link both of those down in the description. You've been listening to the ChatGPT podcast. Make sure to rate us wherever you listen to your podcasts and have a fantastic week.